8 o'clock, and I know some of you would be disappointed with me if I didn't share a little story at the beginning, so I will. This is a story of a young naval officer who's in training, and he's being put through the paces by this old sea captain. And so this sea captain says to him, "Well, what would you do if a sudden storm sprang up on the starboard?" And the student replied quickly, "Well, I'd throw out an anchor, sir." "All right, well, what would you do if another storm sprang up aft?" "Throw out another anchor, sir." "And if another terrific storm sprang up right in front, what would you do then?" asked the captain. "Throw out another anchor, sir." "Hold on," said the captain. "Where are you getting all these anchors from?" "From the same place you're getting the storms, sir." There is one thing about the military and the training that these soldiers endure that I think is a real strength, is that you can't come out of your training without having a very strong sense of the importance of mission and of fulfilling your mission. And I think it's one of the reasons why the church has often used militaristic language in its prayers and song. You know, one of the favorite old hymns in the church that we sing is "Onward, Christian Soldiers." And it's always interesting the times when we sing that, seeing people singing it with so much gusto and fervor. We also have language in the Book of Common Prayer that talks about praying for the whole state of Christ's church, militant here on earth. And while I think today we have to be sensitive and mindful of the potential violent imagery that these images might evoke, they do also at the same time get to the point that the church has a mission. The church has something that it is called to, something that is of paramount importance to it, and we are to be mindful of that and to work at it. And so right now in the life of St. Matthew's, we are, in a sense, trying to retrieve our sense of mission and explore ourselves. Who are we? What are we here for? What are we all about? And last week we heard about Jesus' mandate to the disciples to love one another, and that through the love that they would have for one another, that the world would know that they belong to Christ. And that, of course, reminds us of our mission statement and slogan here at St. Matthew's of sharing Jesus' love, both inside the church, within one another, but also, of course, extending beyond these walls into our neighborhood and into our community. And so at this time, the Parish Selection Committee is being a part of a very important discerning process. The Insight team is involved in that as well. The wardens and myself, we're all sort of connecting and working together, and we want to hear the voices from the parish. And so the Parish Selection Committee now, I invite you to come here at the front, and they're going to share a little bit about what they've been up to and the opportunities that we have to continue to discern this process moving forward. So I'll turn over this time to them.
Thank you, Stephen. Some of us are going to try to speak on our own. Some are going to go to the lectern. We just wanted to bring you up to date on where we are and what we're in the process of. The Parish Selection Committee members were elected by you, the parishioners of St. Matthew's. This was pursuant to Bishop Poole's request for us to hold a special vestry in November of 2011. This request was made concurrently with the appointment of Reverend Stephen Blackmore as our interim priest in charge for a period of 2 years. While other parish selection committees have moved in a quicker fashion, it has been Bishop Poole's wish that our parish take time to heal and reflect before proceeding through the process. As such, the committee members have met regularly since their appointment, and with greater frequency over the last 10 months. The 6 committee members are Sue Hampton, Ron Landry, Melissa McCourt, who unfortunately couldn't be with us here this morning, Kathy Oakton, Ann Sim, and myself. The members represent the diversity of the congregation of St. Matthew's and have each participated in many aspects of this church's life. At this time, we would like to introduce ourselves to you. And I'll start just by introducing myself. I'm Al Thompson. My wife Florence and I joined St. Matthew's in 1961. That's a long time ago. When we bought our home and moved into the area. Our daughter Leanne and our two children now attend with us each Sunday. I have served as church warden on a number of occasions, most recently in 2011 and 12, as well as in other areas of the church from time to time. I have helped out with numerous parish projects over the years. I serve on the selection committee as a result of the latter warden position. Go ahead, Kathy.
My name is Kathy Oakton. I've attended St. Matthew's Church for 32 years. David and I arrived in 1980 when Wendy was 4 and Andrew was 2 months old. I've been a nursery volunteer, kindergarten Sunday school teacher, coffee hour coordinator, St. Teresa's group member, Matt's media producer, relief secretary, special projects and silent auction committee member, warden and vestry clerk. Currently, I edit Matt's media and sing in the choir. I know I shouldn't follow.
Can I interrupt for 1 second, Sue? Actually, if we can have everyone use the microphone, it'll be easier for recording, and that way we know everybody can hear.
Hi, I'm Sue Hampton. My husband David, who stood here a few minutes ago reading the lesson and singing in the choir, he and I joined St. Matthew's in 1985 with our 3 children, Katie, Amy, and Teddy, and many of you saw them bopping around the church for many years. We have been very much a part of the St. Matthew's family with Sunday school and church picnic committees and sitting on advisory board. I had the pleasure of being a warden for a couple of years, and in recent years have been most active with the whole insight gathering, the NCD process, really trying to understand how you all feel about the church and how we're going to be moving forward together. And I'm very happy to be part of the selection committee as we continue that work.
Hi, I'm Ron Landry, and my family and I came to St. Matthew's back in 1979 when we moved here from Winnipeg, and we've been part of St. Matthew's ever since. I served twice as a warden, once in the mid-'80s, I guess, and once at the end of the 1990s. And I've served on numerous committees. I think a lot of them are like fundraising, capital projects, and it seems like endless stewardship campaigns. Mostly with my trusted sidekick, John Lee, who is one of the saints of this church. And first thing, too, I have to mention Bruce Gleason, because he introduced me to St. Matthew's, so he was the first one to drag me into activities, so to say, in St. Matthew's. And I was involved in the church school administration under Bruce, who was superintendent at the time. Currently, Barb and I have it fairly easy. We just do sides people and greeters, so that's great. So we enjoy that very much. Thank you.
Hi, excuse me. I'm Ann Sim, and I've been at St. Matthew's since 1967. Bob and I joined the church then with our 2 daughters, Linda and Wendy. It wasn't long before I became an ACW member, which wasn't called that at the time. It was St. Teresa's was the first group. I helped with junior helpers as well. And then in the early 70s, I moved into Girl Guides and was a leader there and a commissioner for 10 or 12 years. And then in the 70s, we also, my husband Bob and I, began a youth group, and which lasted maybe 5 or 6 years, which was good years. My daughters were at that age, and actually both of them met someone in that group and married them, and they're my grandchildren now. So then along came, that was the 70s, and then into the early 80s, Bob and I led a group called the 4 Seasons, which met 4 times a year for fellowship. We had some great times curling and hiking and whatever. And then in the early 80s, I was part of the warden team for a few years, and I was helped with fundraisers, etc., etc. That took quite a few years. And then in the 90s, I got involved with the pastoral care, the present pastoral care team, which has been going for almost 20 years. So that's where I am at the moment. And then last year or year before, I was invited to be part of the selection committee, and I'm honored to be part of it. And hopefully I bring something that's who I am to whatever we're going to become. Thank you.
I'm trying to remember what to tell you about Melissa McCourt. I think she's been a member of the church for about 12 or 14 years. She was most recently a warden for a 3-year period, ending last year, and she serves on this committee as a result of that appointment as warden too. And I know she'd be love to be here and be part of this with us. We are very much enjoying this whole process and getting a tremendous amount out of it. Under Section 3D of Canon 10, the sole function of the Parish Selection Committee is to provide advice to the bishop on the appointment of a cleric to fill the vacancy. Since the PSC's formation, we have learned that there is indeed a very thorough process on how that advice is sought and given, which will involve not only the PSC, but at times all of you. With the guidance of Bishop Poole, a diocesan coordinator was appointed in January of 2013 to oversee and help guide the process. The committee may also receive additional support from the Regional Dean, Al Budson. The selection and discernment process begins with the authoring of a parish profile, a document that provides 2 types of information regarding St. Matthew's. A significant portion of the document addresses quantitative and physical realities of our parish, such as details about our financial health and holdings, neighborhood and parish demographics, and a description of the church building and its boundaries. There is also a great deal of reflection and consultation that must go into this document, which includes sensing of the parish at large, small group consultations, and data mining from previous information collected by groups such as the NCD or the Insight team as it's now known. I'm going to turn the mic over to Sue for a few moments, and she's going to tell you what we're looking for from you.
Thank you. Well, it seems that St. Matthew's was already well along the journey of discernment before the Parish Selection Committee was formed. And that's thanks to the work that began with the NCD, which is a statistical kind of disciplined way of figuring out how we feel about our church and our faith compared to other churches all around the world. And we did that surveying and analyzing ourselves for about 5 years, but decided that that was too statistical to really get underneath how we were feeling as a community, as a Christian community. And so we decided to start listening to each other in our own words and really get underneath our feelings and thoughts and wishes and desires. So we formed the Insight team, and the members of the Insight team are here today. It's led by Ian. And Ian, do you want to stand up so people can recognize us? Ian and Bob Holloway and Jean Smith and Stephen and myself. And Ian's the only one that stands up. Okay, everybody else raise your hand then. There, Bob and Jean and Stephen, you know. So the, did you raise your hand? Okay. So the Insight team started off just trying to understand how people are feeling about their life in the St. Matthew's community. And we talked to newcomers and learned a lot about their experience coming into St. Matthew's. We talked to the youth group and their parents. We talked to the Club Mat people. And then the Parish Selection Committee happened, and we knew that this talking to people about their thoughts and feelings and wishes and desires was a thing that dovetailed extremely well with the construction of the parish profile. So the Insight team teamed up with the Selection Committee, and we've gone on to talk to the Outreach and Advocacy Group, Friends for Friends group, the Men's group, St. Anne's group, and the choir. So there's been a sense that we're starting to get a real picture of the hopes and dreams and fears and aspirations of us collectively, but not everyone's had a chance to speak yet. Not everyone's had a chance to participate in a more informal discussion group about their experiences and where they want to see the church going. So we're set up and arranged for dates for 2 open invitation meetings. So anyone that would like to join a small group discussion and really share your experiences and your hopes and dreams so that all of this can be reflected in the direction of the parish profile, set up 2 dates, and we invite you to sign up for them at the back of the church. The first date is Monday, May 13th, which is a week from Monday in the evening. And these sessions typically are an hour. So it's not an enormous commitment, but I think it's an important opportunity to have people share what's on their mind. And if Monday evening's not a great opportunity, then after church on Sunday, May 26th, we'll be having other small group discussions. But we would like to know, so that we can arrange the number of groups and the number of leaders, we would like to know how many people feel they can attend on the Monday or on Sunday, May 26th. And if you've already had a chance to be part of one of these groups, but feel like there are other things you really wanted to say, then you're welcome to sign up for those other groups as well. So we're really looking forward to these conversations. I will tell you that people that have been part of these conversations have felt that it's been a very enriching and very nourishing time to spend with each other and get to know each other and really think about our life together here. So I highly encourage you to sign up. Thank you.
Thank you, Parish Selection team. You're doing wonderful work, and this isn't work in isolation, but this is connected with a greater work that's happening throughout this church in this process of discernment. In my own studies and studying spiritual discernment, one of the keys truths of discernment is grace. That is that God is present in the process and even gives us the ability to discern where God is at work, and especially within our own lives. As we hear people's stories and share their own experiences, especially their faith stories, we begin to sense a pattern, and we can also gain a better sense or see a clearer vision of Christ in one another and in our church. Some people ask me sometimes, why do we read the readings that we do on Sunday and the order in which we do them? And we always read the gospel last. Have you ever wondered why we read the gospel last? Anyone? Because theologians and people in the church throughout history have given primacy to the stories of Jesus that point to the person and work of Jesus Christ. And when we read these stories about Jesus, we're actually also learning about ourselves. Jesus was the most authentic human being to have ever lived, the perfect image of humanity. And when we see him and when we observe him in action, we gain a sense of who we are to aspire to be, but also who we are already becoming, who we have already become in Christ. And today we have this example of compassion, of Jesus reaching out to one who was crippled, one who was in need, in desperate straits. And in Jesus we see an act of unprovoked grace. And if you leave from the scripture readings today, one phrase that would stick with you: unprovoked grace. The man didn't even ask Jesus for help. He didn't know who Jesus was. He wasn't one of the people that sought Jesus out, as other stories tell. He didn't even seem to be a person of faith. Yet Jesus reached out to him and bestowed this overflowing grace that changed and transformed his life. And so as we go from this place today, may we also be left with that sense of God's grace poured out upon us, unprovoked grace for many of us. But we would also be inspired, as I shared with the children, to acts of kindness and grace to others. Others here in this place, and others, of course, out in the world. And we are all committed to that mission, then we can truly change the world. Amen.